Hello, David here, and the project for today is replacing the belt and the crank bearing on the Keys Fitness Discovery 6.0 exercise bike. If you follow my channel, you know a couple of weeks ago I tried to do maintenance on this thing. I discovered the crank bearings were shot. The owner wanted to replace the bike and get a new one, so I put it back together. She did get a new bike. I got a video for that, assembling the bike. And on this bike, there's a video for that too. I'll put the link in the upper right corner. If you're watching this on Rumble, I'll put the link down in the description below. Basically, that video will show you how to take all the covers off and put them back on. So I got the covers off now, and I think I'm going to need to take the belt off first. And it looks like it's just a matter of loosening that. That'll loosen the belt. And what do I take off to get the belt off? I think I'm going to have to take this lever off. Okay, there's a 10mm nut behind this. Try to get in there. Not much clearance in there. Try to hold that down with a wrench. Got the nut off. Process would have been a lot easier if I took this cover off, then I could have had access to that, and maybe I will take that cover off when I put it back together. If I do put it back together again, the company's out of business, the parts are discontinued. I'm hoping that I could go to a bicycle shop and see if they could match up a crank bearing. Taking this off is not going to get me access to the belt. In order to get the belt off, I need to take this counterweight off. So I need to go to the other. If I could pull this axle out on this side, I might be able to slide the belt off. This is 15mm. Try this side. Okay, let's take the belt off the big wheel. Okay, got the belt off. Don't lose this washer that's on there. See if the belt has any numbers on it. I see nothing. Get this pedal off. This is 15mm and it's left-hand thread, so it's clockwise. Clockwise to get that off. See the L for left-hand thread? I'm going to take the right side off. That's going to have an R on it. That's going to be a conventional right-hand thread. Listen to this bearing. Here, this one did come off. So this is a left-hand thread. Measure the opening in the frame. It's about 51.5 millimeters. 2.02 inches. Not sure on the pitch on this. I come, well, it's right on at 24. Pitch is 24, which matches it almost exactly with my thread pitch tool. It's been an extensive search, and after 2 weeks I found some bearings. These are from the CDH company, made in China. And it took a long time for me to find something because I was hoping to find something made in Taiwan or Japan where the quality is better. And these Chinese aftermarket parts just never last long. And also I had trouble finding the parts because there's a magic word in finding the parts. The magic word is you have to search for a term called 2-inch cup bottom bracket set. That'll take you right to the ballpark. There's another magic word called Ashtabula or BMX or old school. And it has to be a bearing set made for a one-piece crank. So this is what you get in the set. You expect to pay about $20 for that. It's got the 2-inch cup that goes into the frame. And there's some type of sticky substance on here. I assume it's a preservative. I would wipe it all off with alcohol. This is not the grease that you use for the bearing. If you don't add a bearing grease to this, they're going to self-deconstruct in a short time. So that's my recommendation. I did have an issue where, let's face it, I damaged the crank. This part of the crank is right-hand threads, but this part of the crank is left-hand threads, and I didn't know that. And I damaged the threads, and I used my thread repairing tool. If you use the 24 pitch side and just go ahead and file the threads, I've got everything pretty much cleaned up. I did produce a video called Looking for Bearings for this particular model bike, and I'll put that link up in the upper right corner. If you're watching this on my Rumble channel, I'll put the link down in the description below, and that's got all the dimensions for the bearings. I just cleaned the grease out of these with some alcohol, and these ought to be smooth as a baby's bottom, and they're not smooth at all. This is just a stamping, and this is supposed to be machined or at least honed, and doesn't give me much confidence for how long these bearings are going to last. Next step is to remove the inner race on the right side of the crank. The right side of the crank has right-hand thread, so removing it should be counterclockwise. I'm going to keep the factory spacer on there, even though the kit comes with some spacers. I don't know if the dimensions are the same. You notice that this slips over the threads of the left side of the crank. That's because the dimensions are larger for this piece. So you got to match up the pieces. If your piece doesn't fit, try this other piece. This piece that goes on the right side of the crank should have the notches on the edges rather than notches on the face. That's for the left side of the crank, right side of the crank. See what the spacer looks like. Spacer is a little bit thicker than the factory one. There's another spacer, and that's a lot thicker. Maybe it's for a bicycle application and not for an exercise bike application. See? Notice how that goes over the threads on the left side. Get this to thread on straight. Yeah, if you look at this old race, that's where all the damage is. All the pitting is on the inner races. Don't see much damage on the bearings. But if you saw my video on replacing the wheel bearing on my 98 Ford Contour, I didn't see any sign of any damage on the bearings or the races, but it sure was making a grumbling sound. Next step is to put the pulley on the crank. You'll notice on the pulley there's a sensor. The sensor is not on this side. The sensor's on this side, and it must be a speed sensor or something. This points towards the frame. And there's 4 10 millimeter bolts. I've got 3 here. I need to dig up that 4th one. The nut goes on the frame side. Time to pack the bearings with grease. I'm using some wheel bearing grease that's specific to greasing wheel bearings. Kind of messy stuff. But the bearing goes on like this, with the bottom of the cage facing to the outside and the wheel bearings facing the inside. And I'm just going to put some in the palm of my hand. And then drive the grease into the bearing. You should see it squish out between the balls. Left side bearing and race, I'm cleaning that off really good with some alcohol. Now you want to snug this up. You don't want to get it too tight because it could put too much stress on the bearings, and you don't want it too loose because that would just be bad. And then after that goes this washer, and then a lock nut. There's no torque spec for tightening this inner race. If you give it a good shake and you feel any looseness, it's too loose. So tap this a little bit more with the hammer to take up that play, and if it's too tight, this won't spin freely. And I gave it a few taps, there's no play, and it's spinning freely. I'm going to leave it right there and tighten down this lock nut. This one you could snug down tight because this is going to go against the race, and the washer has a lock on it to keep from turning, so it's not going to turn the race. So regarding replacing the drive belt, I was kind of freaked out because there's no numbers on the belt. But my research has shown that this is the easiest part to replace. In a fit of pure genius, the drive belt manufacturers all use stock numbers that are made out of the dimensions of the belt. Let me show you what they do. Okay, there's usually a manufacturer code. It's either a number or an alpha. And then you take the number of ribs. I got 6 ribs. Use a 0 as a separator. 6 ribs. So the length is the inside circumference. So what I did was I put a mark on the belt right here, and I measured inside with a tape measure and went all the way around till I came back to here, and I got 48 inches. I think the reason why they use the inside circumference is because the thickness of the belt can vary, and it's most accurate if you measure the inside circumference. Also, let's say you don't have a belt, then you wrap a string and wind it around the pulleys and tie it off and take it off and measure it. So if you were to measure, they use the outside circumference, the measurement would be off. So I think that's why they use the inside measurement. So I have 48 inches. Let's do another separator for 8. And then this position here, I'm not going to put, I guess I could put an imaginary dot there. That's for a fraction, because let's say I had 48.5 inches, it would be 0.485. And then the manufacturers also give a second number, which would be in millimeters. See, these are inches. If this was millimeters, it would be 1219 millimeters, which is equal to 48 inches. So if I don't have 48.5, I have 48. And with that, I did a search of belt numbers that I'm not worried about that first number because it's going to change with the manufacturer. I needed something with a 0600480. This would be any manufacturer would have that, and take off that decimal point because they don't put that in the stock numbers. This is what I found on Amazon. I found the Goodyear belt. Stock number 1060480. The alternate number is 6PK1219. 6 ribs. I do not know what PK means. And 1219 millimeters. I don't know where it's made. Doesn't say where it's made on the belt. This is different width. Let's see if the length is the same. Yeah, length is the same. The width is not the same. It's got 6 ribs, but the ribs are a lot wider than the ribs I have. I wonder if I'm going to have to reorder a 4-rib belt at this length. If I get a, probably should check the measurement. If I get a 0.40480, that might work. Original belt is 9/16 wide. This belt is a hair under 7/8 of an inch. Let's try this one. The width ought to match. This is a 4-rib belt, and I've learned that you can't trust the number of ribs for the width. You really have to measure it. The new belt measures 13.76 millimeters, Old belt is 13.9 millimeters. I could not find a circumference of 48 inches. This is 47.8 inches, and I don't think 2/10 of an inch in the inside circumference is going to make any difference. Alternate stock number, 4 rib, 1,214 millimeters in circumference. That's the difference right there. I think for the shorter belt I'm going to have to get a longer eye bolt. This is unbelievable. That Goodyear belt that was 2/10 of an inch smaller in circumference was so small I would have had to either get a spring that was 3 inches longer or an eye bolt that was 3 inches longer to secure this idler pulley lever. So I decided instead of doing that, I'm going to try going to an auto parts store to see what they have. So I went to AutoZone. I got this Duralast belt. This is, well, that's not the right circumference. I don't know what the proper circumference is, but it measures up. When I hold them together, it measures the same, and the width is the same. So I'm going to go with this. Ooh, this is too tight too. I can't get this eye bolt to go. Gonna have to go one size bigger. This is very frustrating. So the Duralast belt from AutoZone, which was 47.8 inches or 1,210 millimeters, was too short. If I used that, I would have either get a longer spring or a longer eye bolt over there. So I just came back from Napa. Napa had this Bando. They're not using inches in their stock number. They are using millimeters. 1,240 millimeters compared to 1,210 millimeters. This is a much better fit. I got it on now. I haven't adjusted the this wheel yet, but this eye bolt, you can see over here, this eye bolt will go in there, so I'll be able to adjust it normally with all the hardware. And I don't know how I got this thing off without playing with this thing, but I couldn't get the wheel off and get the belt back on without taking this electrical thing off. That goes right there with 2 screws. So once I get everything back together, I'll put this electrical thing back on. I've got it back together again, and it's running great. If you want to see how the covers come off and go back on, look at my video called Maintenance on a Keys Fitness Discovery 6.0 Exercise Bike. I've been working on this project for over a month. With the company out of business, there was no documentation on parts. It took me a while to discover that the crank bearings were regular bicycle bearings, and also had to do some trial and error to match up that drive belt until I found out that a good circumference is 1,240 millimeters. And this bike fought me the whole way. Glad it's over with. I know there's not many of these bikes out there. If it helps a few people out, I'll be happy. And there's a possibility that it might help some people out working on a different brand of exercise bike. I want to thank you guys and gals for watching. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more great videos from David GPO.